Brutal. World of Warcraft returning to its roots with the Heritage Armor quest line for the Undead. Let's check out a little bit of this summary of what the Heritage Armor quest line was for the Undead and how it is a return to form for World of Warcraft. Let's see what Bellular has to say about this.
The Plaguelands are now full of the living. Silverpine is overrun with feral Worgen and Alliance patrols. Some Forsaken are too brain-rotted or stubborn to turn away from the old Sylvanas. And then there are the Scarlets. The living of Lordaeron still think it's their land and they'll join any radical group to get it back. Many problems. The reformed Desolate Council knows it's up to the job, and its first step is to sort out the Scarlets. This...
Has anybody else got a thing for Kalia? Because damn. Man, that model looks
is the story of a nation's true founding. And for their sake, I hope they use today's sponsor. Magic Spoon, right, cereal. It's often delicious, but I haven't had an option that's worked for me until now, because Magic Spoon brings that childlike nostalgia into a fun and delicious cereal that will actually help you meet your goals. And that's because each bowl has got 4 to 5 grams of net carbs per serving, while packing in 13 to 14 grams of protein and 0 sugar, which is incredible. I've got a code for you. If you use Bellular at my link, you'll get $5 off. They literally make cereal as a thing actually compatible with my health goals. That's why I love them so much. Also, being on a higher protein diet, I just know it works better for me, so that they do that is awesome. Now, the variety packet's got frosted and fruity, also cocoa and peanut butter, and man, see the peanut butter? It is absolutely incredible. And even just as a quick gaming snack, it's such an appealing option. Plus, it's also gluten and...
You guys think that's like the soul of Panda TV that he's eating right now after what happened yesterday?
Grain-free, they use natural flavors, and if you're doing keto, they're actually compatible with that too. Of course, the less carbs the merrier, which is great. Magic Spoon does exactly what I want. It tastes terrific. It's got all the macronutrients, great texture. I'm super impressed with their products. They're so confident they've got a 100% happiness guarantee. If you're not happy, you get all your money back, no questions asked. So click the link below or scan the QR code on the screen and use code BELLULAR for $5 off, or just go to magicspoon.com/Bellular. And of course,
if you put milk in the bowl before the cereal, you are a serial killer, figuratively and literally.
I shall say $5 today. Thanks to Magic Spoon for supporting the channel and joining us. Give him a big welcome. With that said, let's roll. Shadowlands threw the Forsaken into an identity crisis. Sylvanas tore the mask off and they realized they were the ones who burnt Teldrassil to the ground. They were on the front lines of the Fourth War. They plagued their own city. Point the finger where you want, but those crimes have Forsaken hands all over them. They felt horror, grief, maybe even resentment when Sylvanas abandoned them. But it was not all lost. When the Veil of the Shadowlands were closed, there were those with the strength to forge a new future.
Best part of Shadowlands, the sky butthole finally closing.
Kalia Menethil returned to Lordaeron with a message of healing, but she couldn't always be trusted by people there. She was an outsider. Commander Belmont, a veteran of the war, well, he knew the Forsaken were on the edge of extinction. Even Valinara, Dark Ranger directly under Sylvanas' control, knew that Sylvanas' original endgame would have ended the Forsaken. Farinel and the Apothecary Society
don't forget, the Forsaken cannot reproduce, and part of Sylvanas' plan was to create more Forsaken. And that's when Garrosh called her a bitch, if you guys don't remember that clip. I think that got taken out of the game now. He doesn't call her a bitch anymore, but he'll always call her a bitch in my heart. That'll never get retconned. But that's obviously over. She's not creating any more Undead because she's just sitting now in the Maw, having a relationship with Anduin now, freeing the souls of the Night Elves. But so the Forsaken now, they have to be careful. I mean, waging war is more deadly for the Forsaken than any other faction in the game, because when they die, there is no return. There is no return, and there is no growth in their population. They will just simply shrink into non-existence.
To maintain what strength they had. And then there's Lillian Voss, the Forsaken we saw rise from a half-mad corpse to a Scarlet Slayer. They came together in the Shadowlands' epilogue, and they reformed the Desolate Council. Just before the Fourth War, elements of the old Desolate Council tried to see themselves as the link between the living and the dead. They organized reunions between families that had not seen each other since the Third War, but Sylvanas, thinking it was a trap, or just being so spiteful that she couldn't let her arrows go blunt with sympathy for the living, killed the Forsaken who supported the Council, and that also was the day she killed Calia Menethil. But the Council is reformed, and they have a huge task ahead of them, building a future for the Forsaken. The first step was clearing plague from the Undercity. After a trip to Maldraxxus,
I think it would be a great storyline if the Forsaken did eventually come out of the ground, came out of the Undercity and then retook Lordaeron as their capital city. I think that would be such a great thing to see in the game. Lordaeron is historically, such a great kingdom. I've always wanted to see it realized in game, and obviously, even if it was, it's still ruins right now, so it wouldn't be exactly what it was before. But I would love to see them rebuild it, and it'd be like a prideful moment, like the return of Lordaeron. We're no longer hiding underground, kind of thing.
To Maldraxxus, the knowledge to amalgamate the plague and to kill it was found. And with that, the Undercity now is mostly cleansed, and once again the core of the Forsaken. But problems have been mounting since then, and one of them has just reared its ugly head. It's the Scarlet Crusade. What's worse, they've captured and fortified Fenris Isle and laid claim to the Silver Pine Forest. It all starts with Lillian Voss bringing word of a crisis back home in Lordaeron. We meet Commander Belmont as he is organizing the Deathstalkers on the walls of the Undercity. Looking over Lordemere Lake, it all looks peaceful, but Belmont tells us Fenris Isle has been taken by the Scarlets. But the Scarlets are long dead, right? Well, not really, because back during the Fourth War, all of this Scarlet Crusade propaganda started showing up in Tirisfal. So it seems that message actually did get out, and that the living of Lordaeron once again are flocking to the Scarlet.
I believe the Scarlet Crusade was also calling Anduin like a false king, like a lying king. Not Lion King, but yeah, he was a false king. They were calling him out, saying he's a piece of shit, and how he's not the true heir to the throne and everything else. They don't like Anduin.
What's
Maybe
the deal
they ran
Belmont tells us they've been defeated many times in the Plague Lands, in Northrend. Some of them are joining less fanatical orders, but it seems like there's always some old leader or new opportunist ready to take the accursed banner. This time the opportunist is Commander Forsyth, backed up by his own Inquisitor Fairbell and Huntsman Scarborough. The Undercity is safe for now, but the Forsaken now find themselves as a dwindling race. They cannot waste regiments clearing that island out, so instead they have to be smart. They cannot waste a single cursed soul, but they have us. We get to the Sepulchre in Silverpine, where Apothecary Farinell tells us the Desolate Council have in fact authorized every trick in the book. Methods that even go as far as using the original plague that destroyed Lordaeron. So we do some old school hand-ins like killing wildlife or plagued flesh and picking boomweed. And it's a great callback if you remember Gordo the Abomination, who was picking gloomweed back in Tirisfal. Then we picked up some doomweed, and that actually ended up in Sylvanas' new plague, which of course we saw during the Fourth War. Well, boomweed is explosive, and with that the plan comes together. Mix plague and explosives.
First things first.
The living have put propaganda all over Silverpine, literal notices to the Forsaken that this is their land.
Damn.
We take them down, but the word is out and the living of Silverpine are signing up to the crusade in droves. Now it's on to Operation Death to the Living. First, disrupt the offensives, then send in the full might of the Forsaken to wipe them out. The first part is our task, but we need to get on the island. Luckily, we find some very helpful Scarlets training in the middle of nowhere, and their lieutenant's uniform provides us the perfect disguise. We can't just fly in there on insane mounts, right? No, so we take the boat over. Once we're on the island, no one suspects.
Is that a bomb strapped to her back?
And that is when the chaos sets in. First, we kill 6 Scarlet Archmagi, those who are smart enough to see through our disguise. Farinell brewed the plague and the boomweed into explosive barrels, which we then plant throughout the keep. They go off and chaos erupts. The Archmagi are dead. The Wald's cannons are silenced. With one word to Velinara, the full might of the Forsaken is unleashed from the Sepulchre.
Nice.
We kill every Scarlet with a beating heart, cutting through the island's defenders to the very last. Finally, we come face to face with Commander Forsyth, who, in the end, was never a real threat. He was just another fool putting on...
I thought he was about to say who turned out to be a Dreadlord, because if you guys don't remember, the original Scarlet Crusade that we fought against, yeah, their leader was a Dreadlord. That's how it turned out to be. So I thought he was about to say the same thing. I was like, damn, they're recycling content that hard right now. But no, look, he dies like a regular old man. So that's good to see. The Scarlet Crusade finally got a leader that's not a demon from beyond.
On the Scarlet Tabard, so he dies just as easily as the rest. Sylvanas or no, this whole thing is old school Forsaken brutality. I'd been worried that the devs were going a bit soft. This shows
Dragon
they can still make content that has teeth. Some metal shit where fools die. Back in the
I agree. Putting the war back in Warcraft. Yeah, it has been a little bit, too much hand-holding, too much we can all be friends. A lot of quests that have to do with just gathering shit up, lighting up a beacon, telling each other to let it go and hug it out. This kind of quest line is what I like to see in World of Warcraft. This is what I want. I want to go back to the days where, you're fighting gnolls in a forest and you realize that the skin of their tents is made from human enemies that they've killed and skinned. Or stuff like this where it's just brutal war. Blades, going through chests and genocides and all kind of stuff like that. That's what war should be. I don't play World of Friendcraft. I play World of Warcraft.
City,
bring on
the Desolate
war.
Council meets, and it really seems like their old rivalries are gone. Suppose nothing like the Scarlet Crusade to unite them. They talk, though, about determination and hope.
Yes.
And together the Forsaken will endure. But those players who were loyal to Sylvanas during the Fourth War get one more quest. In the Long Hunt, a vision of Sylvanas appears, and she talks to the loyalists from the Maw.
Sylvanas can make
her
Force
work
Ghosts
continues, and with each soul saved, she finds hers just feels a little bit more whole. Remember, her soul essentially got destroyed, and that's one of the things that set her on her bizarre path, with her soul only being reformed as punishment. As punishment from Zovaal. Zovaal basically is like, you know what? Screw you. I don't need you anyway. I got you to do all of these horrible things, and now I'm going to make your soul be whole just so that you can appreciate how much of a horrible monster you've been. That's her punishment, and that's why she's now doing her penance. It's quite clear then that she has had time to think and that she does regret many of her actions. I'm sure many of us do disagree with those actions as well. Because yes, Sylvanas led Warcraft to a strange place. But
yeah, she led it to the fucking Shadowlands. That's where she led it. Yeah, until the Horde and Alliance get back to death on sight, the game will continue to be World of Hold My Hands and Hug. Crap, okay. Yeah, it's not going to happen. The player base just isn't large enough to support a faction war anymore. So that most likely won't happen. The good thing is you can always RP that, right? You can always just fucking PvP and kill people. If you wanna be into that, flag yourself for World PvP and go on a hunt. Go kill some Horde or Alliance based on whatever faction you play. But to say there's going to be all-out wars again? No, probably not. There might be, splintered factions that are fighting. There might be pockets of war here and there. Defectors from the Alliance or Horde that refuse to, friend up and they still fight each other. That's all possible. But to say, Horde and Alliance go back to the anger days, it's not going to happen. But also, I will say, Horde and Alliance working together and being friends, that's nothing new. That's been happening since, Shattrath was the first hub city we ever, shared in terms of lore. But really, Wrath of the Lich King, we fought together. We fought against the Lich King together. The Wrathgate cinematic, that was a joining of the Horde and the Alliance. And, there was no real fighting between the two. Again, until Cataclysm, maybe there was some resource gathering issues, fighting between that. And then Battle for Azeroth, which actually turned out to be an old god expansion. So we didn't really fight there either. We got into it a little bit, and then we stopped. The Alliance needs more drama. The Horde has had it all. Yeah, well, the Horde has more diversity, so they're going to have more drama. That's just going to happen. You know, different minds, you know, thinking different ways is going to create drama. The Alliance is going to get their side of drama. When Anduin finally comes back, I wonder how that whole passing over of the throne is going to happen, and the issues that are going to arise, because I'm sure there will be some.
The one thing that she says she does not regret about her time is that she, along the way, helped the Forsaken find a place in a world that shunned them. Even though she's no longer the Banshee Queen, she says she will always stand with the Forsaken, and maybe one day she hopes she can walk amongst them again. And this feels like the true end to Sylvanas' arc through the Shadowlands. Remember, like, whole Shattered Soul situation, right? That kind of makes sense of her slow radicalization, right? And with this, she properly recognizes the leadership of the Desolate Council, and suddenly, right, the whole idea of a loyalist just doesn't mean anything anymore. You see, back in Battle for Azeroth, we all wondered what her motivations were. That was the whole community meme, like, oh, just what will she do next? What does she really mean? Can I please understand where this story's going?
Memes are up, boy.
We didn't like that answer, did we? But there was this whole time, right, where, you know, the Forsaken war effort could have been about the Forsaken. That Sylvanas not only wanted to protect them from a world that shunned them, but also wanted to put them right at the top, in charge of their own true empire, with their own destiny. The deals with Helya and Ayr's Soul Cage, those were considered part of her grand...
What the fuck happened with Helya? I've heard rumors, you know, we talked about like a Void expansion and all this shit, and Helya would play a role there. But right now she's kind of just, you know, hentai-ing herself out in the void. I don't know what the hell's going on with her. She supposedly made a deal with Sylvanas. But then Sylvanas was working with the jailer, so was Helya working with the jailer? I don't know, man. That whole lore is completely scuffed and fucked.
Plan to raise up more Forsaken, right? Bind Ayer and the Valkyr, and then use them to raise up more Forsaken so that they are a people who, for lack of a better word, can, you know, get
Time
more of their number
faction.
because, you know, their stuff doesn't work anymore. And whenever Gen destroyed the Soul Cage in Legion, he thought that he was getting vengeance for the death of his son by robbing the Forsaken of that future, right?
This was a badass move by him.
Well, they can't reproduce, they're gone. But no. We then find out that Sylvanas was to bind Ayer and to deliver her Valkyr and stuff to the jailer. It had nothing to do with the future of the Forsaken.
Oh, yeah, right, because that makes so much more sense and is so much better for the character. Oh, God, man. Everything, I swear to God, everything the jailer touched was corrupted in like an unforgivable way. He fucked up so many storylines, and that's why he sucked as a character. I think everybody hates the jailer not because of who he was or what he did, but because of how he fucked up all the old lore. Completely janktified it. In a way that it's like, it's irredeemable. We just gotta fucking ignore it. That's the only way we can get past it at this point. What up, Onhari? Ducati, how's it going?
In fact, any notion that Sylvanas cared about the Forsaken was rather thrown out the window when she called them nothing and then blasted off Team Rocket style into the Shadowlands. But that wasn't just ignored in the Heritage chain. After defeating the Scarlets once again, Sylvanas tells the Forsaken that they were more than arrows in her quiver. Right, she specifically calls that, like, you know, that final line out. And then she basically tells us that Nathanos is somebody that she actually does care about, perhaps signifying that there was, you know, a little bit of her humanity still sort of in there, that he is in the maw somewhere, and that yes, in fact, she did really like him, and that she wants to save his soul. So in the end, the Forsaken do get their Banshee Queen who cares about them. Sylvanas is, you know, she's a mix of things as a character. She is one of the franchise's most well-known and, at a point, most liked characters. The writers at Blizzard had very different ideas of where she could and should go. That damaged her plot, it damaged her as a character, and now we're left with a character whose journey to extremism was internally explained away by wanting to help her people, a justification that slowly fell away as she essentially fell into the ruinous influence of, I guess, Zoval's apocalyptic cult. And it's a bizarre story, because we know Blizzard had different plans for her at different points in time. And we know that behind the scenes those plans changed. Now, though, the best that they can do is re-establish the Forsaken as a people and fix up Sylvanas and then just put her in a box to be taken out again once time has passed. So, where do the Forsaken stand now? To be honest with you, Not much has changed. They are still in a real desperate situation. This may have been the most recent Scarlet resurgence, but it, trust me, will be far from the last, because there's another active group of Scarlets. More on that in a bit.
Right, yeah.
It's clear, though, that the other threats aren't over. The Alliance still does control the majority of Lordaeron, right? That hems the Forsaken in to Tirisfal and parts of Silverpine. Then, Ivar Bloodfang and his pack have basically gone feral and taken over Shadowfang Keep.
Yeah, I think the storyline's going to play out with the return of Lordaeron and Gilneas at the same time. And that'll happen kind of with, you know, with an agreement between the Horde and Alliance that the Forsaken withdraw from these areas. And, you know, you fucking kill all these, you know, defectors of the Worgen and shit, and you rebuild Gilneas, so it's an actual city you can use. And then the same with the Forsaken. The Alliance kind of agree to withdraw a little bit, and the Forsaken handle their own shit and bring back Lordaeron. And there you go. You got 2 new hub cities for a new expansion.
Loyalist problem has been put to bed, but without a single figure like Sylvanas to unite them, unity still could be an issue. There's all this stuff going on that the Desolate Council needs to deal with, but the point is, and the thing that's changed the most is that it's not the Forsaken of the Banshee Queen against the world anymore. It's the Forsaken. In a way, they have become a fully fledged race because they are free now.
This model's a bit cheeky.
They are no longer part of a cult of personality. If a nation only lasts as long as its dictator and then completely goes to shit and splinters off in a million different ways afterwards, can you truly call it a nation?
They won't give it up. I guess they'll do it in a way where they still have access to it in some way, shape, or form. I don't know.
Forsaken are a true nation beyond just a cult of personality. They're a race with ambitions, determination, and cunning. This really is their rise to being a true nation. And as for the Scarlets, yes, Commander Forsyth and his cronies are dead, but the Heritage Quest made one thing very clear. Silverpine and Tirisfal still have living, eking out an existence. The survivors from the Third War are returning. All that propaganda that we found in Battle for Azeroth about there being a secret Menethil heir in hiding, that has actually not came to anything yet. This is not the end of the Scarlet Crusade. This was proof that there are humans in Lordaeron and that many of them are willing to join anything with the name Scarlet on it. And the Scarlet Crusade is not nearly done. In fact, it was recently made the case that there is another large and very active group.
Look, as far as the I see there's conversation happening about the Undercity. The Alliance didn't just retake it at BFA. You guys remember the quest line? I forget which expansion it was in, where Varian and the Alliance, you know, invade. I think it wasn't Mist, was it? I don't know. We invade because this was when the whole Garrosh thing was starting to happen, and we invaded the Undercity and retook it actually. And then at the end, Jaina, the Orc Simp, ports us out, and the Alliance has to leave. But they retook it essentially, and it was at that point that they were going to say, "Well, let's just retake Lordaeron completely and make it Alliance again." Now, if they allow the undead to live there, Kalia Menethil is still Alliance aligned. She's seen as an Alliance counterpart. Now, I mean, her loyalty really belongs to the Forsaken, but she still comes from the Alliance. So even if the Forsaken retake Lordaeron, they're doing it as Lordaeronian citizens, right? They're not really doing it as undead at that point, because that's where Kalia's coming from, is that we are the people of Lordaeron, and Lordaeron should belong to us. So the Alliance might see it that way, and see that they're losing the city, but instead regaining it for the Lordaeron people.
Scarlet Crusade.
That's how they would digest it, I guess.
Lordaeron, that have nothing to do with Commander Forsyth. And I have to imagine they will be coming soon, as will our future video on the return of the Scarlets. Yeah. And there you have it. This was a pretty damn fun video to put together. And if you would like to have your appetite just whetted a little bit as to what the future could hold for a group like the Forsaken, you've got to check out the video that I posted on the revamp. Because this isn't just some bullshit speculation. This,
it's going to happen.
It's directly from the game director.
That's right.
Check it out. I'll see you next time.
Great video. Yeah, I did not do the Forsaken questline, so it's nice to see that there's a bit of hardcore war going on in that questline. Hopefully we get more of that in coming expansions. I've had enough of the friendly shit going on in Dragonflight. Anyways, great video.